Night owls. What is the scariest thing you've experienced while everyone else was asleep? Part 2. I saw some shit that, growing up neurodivergent and in a very isolated area, didn't bother me, but apparently scared the shit out of my roommates when I told them. Number 1. Nearly every city in North America, even the really big, dense ones above the Mason-Dixon line, has a population of urban cougar. They mostly eat outdoor cats and stray dogs, but they absolutely will come up to an open window if they hear a baby crying to see if they can swipe it. Number 2. Black bears sometimes just walk around on their hind legs and do people things. When I lived in Durango, Colorado, there was a sow that lived in the neighborhood that would walk on the sidewalk on 2 legs from 2 to 4 a.m., open mailboxes, look in them, and close them again. She'd also look in windows if you had the lights on then, like a person at a zoo. Other times, I'd see her in the park, sitting at the picnic benches like a person. I thought she was delightful, but apparently I'm in the minority opinion about that. Number 3. Seeing a kid under 11 outside after midnight is never a good thing. It's happened twice to me. One was a 10-year-old boy running from home after his drunk mother threw a glass at him and gave him a serious head injury. The other was a toddler that had escaped the house fire that killed her parents. Always step in if you see a child outside alone after midnight. Number 4. Found out there was a guy living long-term in the drainage culvert/graywater sewer near my house after I watched him crawl out of it. Bill was a deeply troubled man that would scream and bark at people like an animal, and the police failed 3 times at extracting him from the sewers. My family left him homeless care packages, socks, hygiene and first aid stuff, some non-perishable snacks and a book, and a McDonald's bag with 2 McDoubles and a small fry at least once a week so he could have a hot meal. He wouldn't take homemade stuff. For 3 years until one day, he just stopped appearing. Going out at 3 a.m. and seeing the McD's bag from the previous night in exactly the same place was the worst thing I ever saw. We tried for 2 months after, but nothing. I can only assume his body is still in there somewhere. Something once whispered my name in my ear when I was trying to sleep. I was in my room all alone. Another time, when everyone in my house was sleeping, I just got out of the shower and went to my room. I had a standing lamp by my door I would use at night so it's not as bright, and right after I turned it on, I turned around in my closet and the lamp clicked off, and I heard like feet shuffling around my carpet or something crawling. I thought it was my brother just trying to scare me, so I told him to quit playing, and after a long silence I walked to the lamp and turned it on, and yep, no one in my room. Bedroom door was locked, and found out my brother wasn't even home. After weird stuff always happening in my room, I would go to our living room to sleep on the couch, and when I say every time, every single time, I turned around and I had my back out facing the living room, couch was against the wall, and I'd face the wall, I would always hear what sounded like little kids running right behind me. Also, one night I woke up and I saw a little girl staring at me from the middle of our stairs that were across from the couch. My friend said he saw the same thing when he spent the night one time, but I used to never believe him. I'm at work, and that's all that comes to mind right now. More things have happened, just can't think right now. I was in bed, about to close my eyes when I heard a woman's scream, then gunshots, then another scream, fainter this time. The scary thing wasn't the scream, but that I immediately knew it wasn't real. I don't know how I knew, but I just did. A few days later I heard a gunshot, and this time I knew it was real. It was confirmed later in the news. A few days after that I heard another scream, and then someone calling my name and calling for help. Again, I knew it wasn't real. It would only happen at night. I started hearing arguments, crashes, motorbikes revving up, screams, footsteps, all that shit, and I always knew that it wasn't real, but I don't know how or why it happened. It wasn't even like I was about to fall asleep. I'd be wide awake, and I'd hear something crash, like someone throwing a table down from a building, but I'd always know it isn't real. 3 to 4 months later, it suddenly stopped and hasn't happened again. I was worried at the time that I was either losing my mind or that I'd injured my brain in some way, but I never felt any pain or discomfort or anything like that, just the sounds. Many years ago, I was house-sitting for my grandmother whilst we were waiting to sell the place. It was a 3-story Victorian house, 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a large planned ground floor. I was staying there alone, and the whole house was about 90% empty, except for a few essential bits of furniture and my bed, which was on the top floor. One night around 2 a.m., I was playing Unreal Tournament 3 on the PS3. I'm having an awesome game of DM. Out of the blue, something made a horrendous crashing sound on the ground floor, loud enough for me to hear with headphones on. It only lasted about 3 or 4 seconds, and sounded like someone trashing the place. My heart starts racing, and I'm thinking, WTF was that? I'm also talking to the people in the game, and remember saying, I'll be right back, and them laughing. I got up and proceeded to walk through the whole house, turning on all the lights. I got to the ground floor, and the room where I'm sure the noise had come from, and absolutely nothing there. The room was empty, except for a few chairs and a coffee table. It freaked me out a bit. Oh God, I have exactly the story for this, on mobile, so bear with. I was visiting my grandparents who live up in the mountains of California. Now this is weed central, and almost everyone grows, so people often try to steal weed from people in the area. In response, everyone, including non-growers, put up trail cams and motion sensor lights. My grandparents were no exception. Now, their house is just a double-wide trailer, so visitors sleep out in a camper trailer, big enough to sleep in, but not much else. So the night this went down, that's where I was sleeping. For whatever reason that night I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up reading a book. Every now and then a light would pop on, so I'd look out to check. Mostly raccoons, jackrabbits, and the like. Occasional fox. Eventually a light popped on, and it was not a small critter. Big black shape, about 20 feet from the trailer. At first I assumed it was Grumpy, a black bear that lives in the area, until it got closer to the light. Realized it walked on 2 legs, with a human-like stride, so definitely not a bear. Kind of stocky, and it was walking slow. This matched my grandpa, along with the direction it was heading, from their house to a shed, so I figured Grandpa was just checking a generator, until it walked by the light and got next to the boat. And then I noticed, A, it was totally covered in black fur, B, its head was at least level with the top of the boat it was next to, which was over 10 feet off the ground. That probably took 10 years off my life. Never in my life has anything scared me as bad as realizing that the thing was not my grandpa and that it was really big. To this day, I don't know what the hell I saw, but I hope to never see it again. When I was working overnight at the bakery when I was 18/19, a van parked next to mine and blocked me in so I couldn't drive away. I locked my door out of habit/fear so I'm safe inside. A creepy-looking guy quickly walks up and knocks on the window. My dumb brain thinks, oh, I should roll down the window a crack so I can talk to him and show him I'm brave so he won't do something to me. I roll it down enough for a sound to go through, but nothing else, and he asks where 2nd Street is. We're literally on 3rd, so it's 1 block down the hill. I point the direction down the hill and say, you're on 3rd now, and it's literally down 1 block. He keeps repeating the question, and I frantically gesture that way and insisting it's there. I'm terrified because it's such an obvious question, he won't go away, and I can't escape. I'm terrified and shaking like crazy. He gets in the van after what feels like forever and drives away super slowly, so I try to get the plate. When I don't see him, I drive to work and call my mom on speakerphone to tell her what happened and have someone be there to know I'm safe. She freaked out and told me to call the police ASAP. Called them and told them the guy's appearance. They kept insisting on the make, model, color, etc. of the car, but I could only say the color because I'm no car expert. I was overdue for a new glasses prescription, and it was too dark. They pretty much blew me off. Now I'm scared of seeing him again because I act stupid while scared, and that he'd probably get away with it because the police department here is shitty AF and didn't believe me. I was so stupid not to immediately know to call the police or my parents because it was literally on the road across from the house. There's so many things that could have happened, and I still get nightmares. I had really bad insomnia a few years back. I grew up sort of in the country. They were orange orchards, but it wasn't super safe. A good portion of my neighbors were involved in illegal stuff, so it wasn't uncommon for weird stuff to happen, especially since my bedroom window faced our front yard. A couple of my neighbors had a habit of getting drunk and coming over to my house and tapping on my window at night. It got to a point where I didn't even really care anymore, and I just opened my blinds and tell them to leave. Well, One night I just couldn't sleep. It was around 4 in the morning, and I was just sitting on my bed thinking. Eventually I decided to open my blinds so I could look outside, and when I did, I saw a man in a light blue shirt in the middle of the street. It was a little weird, but nothing out of the ordinary, so I just watched him for a little while. I knew he couldn't see me. He was facing away from me, and it was dark enough still that he wouldn't be able to see me unless he was less than 10 feet from my window. A long time passes, close to 45 minutes, and this guy just didn't move. I got up for a moment to adjust my blankets, and when I looked back out the window, the guy had moved. He was in my yard, no more than 10 feet from my window, looking straight at me. I just shut my window and ignored him. Well, my mom wakes up, and while we're eating breakfast, she told me that she had a weird dream about a guy in a light blue shirt that walked around our backyard all night. I was camping next to a river deep in the mountains that was also a gold claim. My father's friend owned it and had my dad take me and my little brother camping there. It was very warm that time of year, so we didn't even use tents, just a large picnic blanket on the ground with our sleeping bags on top. I've always been able to pick up on things, and if anything unexplainable/paranormal happens, it's typically when I'm around. For example, the wiring to the light in my living room ceiling fan is completely disconnected, but that light will randomly turn on only when I'm around. It literally will not turn off until I leave, or if I kindly ask it to turn off. Anyways, I was getting really weird vibes at this gold mine. I kept having dreams every night about drowning with my father in the water, with me trying to help me, but ultimately failing. Until one night, I just couldn't sleep. I was tending the fire to keep myself occupied when I noticed my little brother get up out of his sleeping bag and start walking towards me. Once he got close enough, I noticed he was sleepwalking. My little brother has never sleepwalked before, so I thought it was kind of odd. Especially odd when he started walking towards the river. I tried to redirect him to the sleeping bag, but he was an unstoppable force. I was probably more than double his weight at the time, and the force with which he walked pushed me out of the way, even when I firmly planted my feet. He was in between 5 to 10 yards from the river when I got my dad up. He rushed over to my little brother, just a few feet from the water, and as soon as he touched him, he snapped out of it and went back to his sleeping bag. My dad stayed up with me for a bit at the fire, and I told him how forceful he was walking. My dad said he felt how strong he was, walking even in the split second he touched him. He was probably 50 pounds at the time, and effortlessly pushed me. After about 10 minutes of talking with my dad, we both got extremely tired and went back to sleep. The nightmare of drowning with my father trying to save me but failing ended that night. The weird vibes were still there, but not as strong. My little brother doesn't remember this at all. One summer, we were visiting my grandmother for a few days. My guess is that I was 8 or 9 at the time. My older sister and I put in one of the rooms, and we slept on air mattresses on the floor with sleeping bags as if it was an office. At the desk, there was a halogen lamp that took a long time to warm up. Even in the daytime, it only emitted a soft glow for like 5 minutes before coming on full. Well, it's the middle of the night and I have to pee. The room is completely pitch black, but in my mind, I have a complete mental map of the room and know exactly where the closed door is. I get up and make for the front door. It's there somewhere. It should be right here. My sister wakes up and asks what is wrong. I say I have to pee but can't find the door. She gets up and can't find it either. Now, in the room on the wall to the left where the door is, there is a closet with the same type of swinging door as the exit door. More on that later. After trying for a while and finding no trace of the door, we look for the light switch. We can't find it. So we decide to follow the perimeter of the room, certain that we would eventually find the door. We followed around and found the desk. Oh, the lamp. We turned on the lamp, but we just got that faint glow. It was so faint we could barely see our hand held right in front of the lamp. We left it on, hoping for it to warm up, but it never did. So we continued around the room. We turned one corner, then another. A door. We open it. We are in the closet. Well, we know that around the next corner is the exit door, so we continue on. We turn the corner, no door. We feel completely lost. We try again. Following the perimeter of the room, we find the desk. The light is still barely glowing. We turn a corner and another and another. We should find the closet door again, but nothing. We turn another corner, a door. We open it. We're in the closet. We do this a couple more times and finally decide to call out to our parents. They get up and open the door. It was right in front of our faces. They were not happy. We explained ourselves, but they didn't believe us at all. I had nightmares after that of waking up and turning on my lamp, but only getting faint glow. Witches and demons and goblins would taunt me from the darkness as I begged the light to turn on full. At night I took a jog to the park. I have social anxiety, so I exercise at night. I was wearing shorts that were about to fall off my ass. It was difficult to run and pull up my pants without it taking too much of my energy and focus, so I decided to just frick it and take them off and run in my underwear. It was at night, so barely any people walking and driving. Plus it's dark, so I was good, or so I thought. When I got to the park, I did a couple of laps on the field, got very tired, and went and laid down on a table there. When I got up, I looked to the far left and saw a guy who was exposed by a light post. I was kind of embarrassed since I was still in my underwear and thought the dude was watching my almost naked ass taking laps on the field at night. I quickly got up and left still in my underwear while holding my shorts. I had earphones on, so I took them off just in case the guy was saying something. He then spoke and said if I had cigarettes. I said, "No, sorry." Then he asked if I was wearing pants. I said, "Yeah." He then said, "Oh, sorry, I thought you weren't." My underwear matched my skin color, so it made sense. He then went on and said he liked it. At the moment I knew I fucked up. I shouldn't have went out running at night in my underwears at a far place with little presence of people where the chances of someone doing something bad to me and not get caught is high. I'm a male, by the way. I figured he was gay and wanted to do more than just talk to me. I forgot to mention his first question was, could he take my pants off? My bad. I wasn't paying too much attention to what he said, but getting the frick out of there. Once I got further away, I started to have a hard time hearing him. Once I got far enough where he wasn't able to see me, I quickly put my shorts back on and ran the frick out of there. My mom always told me not to go outside at night, and I decided to keep the story to myself so she wouldn't rub it in my face. Our house backs up to a nature reserve that splits the neighborhood down the middle and has 3 decks that lead down to it. At least once a week, I'll hear heavy footsteps walking across the middle deck, the largest, making its way to our back door. I'll turn on lights and see what's out there, but nothing's there. A backstory to those docks. When our family was building them, we found a coffin and had a bunch of crazy supernatural happenings around our house until a priest came to bless the house. My dad and I were outside on the largest deck one night talking about life when my dad asked what those red lights were along the way. They were near our neighbor's backyard, in between 2 clip-on lanterns on top of their fence, but they would move in conjunction with each other and blink. We sat watching the 2 lights blink at us and essentially stare us down. Either someone turned on a light in the house or a car passed by, but we were able to see a faint outline of a feline-looking head. We don't have any large cat population anywhere near us. Went inside after that. I was outside, sitting on the deck closest to the back door, almost midnight and pitch black, when a dazzling light coming from the treetops lit up the nature reserve like it was full-on daylight. Lasted only 3 seconds, and then pitch black again.